There are moments in our lives that don't just challenge us, they rearrange us. They arrive with no warning, no signal, no time to gather your things or your thoughts. And in that instant, there's no going back. You're standing on the threshold of a new story. That threshold moment for me happened on November 17th, 2010, and I called this place the mirror. That day, I didn't just lose everything, I gained myself, although it was a long journey home. There's usually a fracture, right? A moment when the story that you have been telling yourself about yourself, it collapses. Everything that you've built for safety and security and protection and success, it crumbles under your feet or it just fades away. Now, for me, it was dramatic and raw. But this isn't about the trauma. It's about what it revealed, what was necessary for my evolution. It's about what the fracture made visible, which was a version of me that I had never met, but I was beginning to remember. I've come to believe that the feminine path of leadership often begins in that hidden place, in the tears that we cry when no one is looking, in the echoing back of our voice as we talk to ourselves, trying to make sense of the world, in the small, brave moments when we choose to use our voice and speak up when silence is so much easier. That is what I call the map, right? The first glimpse of my becoming came when I decided to surrender. Because the fork in the road isn't a place of certainty. It's a whisper that says, maybe there's more to this than I can see. And I heard that whisper as I laid on the floor on a cot in a women's jail. Does it matter where I go from here, left or right? Sometimes the direction doesn't matter as much as the courage to move. So for me, that whisper led me back to my own voice. No one was going to tell me which way to go. No one was going to save me. No one was going to protect me. My Prince Charming had betrayed me. And Prince Charming wasn't just a man, it was the ideals I held on to, believing the stories that weren't mine to begin with anyway. But where I did find comfort, where I did find safety and security, and in a sense of navigation, was in my writing, was in creating my art, was in those quiet, still moments of mindfulness and being with myself. It was in community with women who mirrored back the parts of me I had forgotten. So helping others healed also helped me heal. Sometimes the GPS for our lives guides us down the road less traveled. Sometimes surrendering is the map. Then the flame of recognition, that moment you feel something bubbling up inside of you, a desire rising again. Not because all of a sudden everything feels hunky-dory and it's safe, but because you're recognizing something within yourself, something inside of you. It's like this deeper longing, right? This longing for beauty again, for joy again, for passion again, right? For travel. Like I started putting the Italian countryside on my vision board without even knowing why, only because of the way it made me feel. I was writing more. This is why I end up publishing my book, because I was writing like it was my lifeline. And through it all, I was remembering not who I used to be, but who I had never yet become. Maybe you know that feeling, right? You've been fractured too by something in your life. You stood at a fork in the road. You felt that flicker of something you thought that you had lost, but it feels familiar. You may have learned to survive so well that wanting actually feels like a luxury. But even now, a part of you remembers. So here's what I learned and what I'm still learning, right? How to walk the feminine path unapologetically, wild, and in my natural instincts. I'm still learning that I won't disappear if I don't produce. I don't have to be out here in these streets and on these social media, um, platforms every single day. And that I owe no one the performance of suffering just to be seen. So, what is your remembering trying to show you? The mirror and the map. This is for the woman who knows what it feels like to be stripped of the structures she once leaned on, the illusion of who she was taught to be, and the mask she kept that kept her safe. Yet somewhere beneath it, she feels alive. She feels something alive. She feels something ancient rising. This is the great remembering in its initiation phase. Every woman who has ever turned her truth into her leadership knows this phase. They know this feeling when remembering becomes revolution and rebirth. And that's what we'll be moving through together inside the Threshold Activation, a live experience on November the 10th. This will be a journey of remembrance to return you to your own knowing, to your voice, and to your power. You know, if you've been standing at your own threshold, this is your invitation to step through it. So I want you to subscribe, share this with a woman that you know is also standing at that threshold moment so we can stay connected and you don't miss when registration opens. I'm Marjorie, and this is the work of remembering who we were before the world told us who to be.